What could be better than a store holding a 25-cent sidewalk sale on back issues? That same store holding a second 25-cent sidewalk sale on back issues the very next Saturday. Check it out. Hi everyone and welcome back. My name is Chris and this is North Garden Comics. For the last couple of weeks, I've been showing you the books that I picked up at one local store here in the Twin Cities called Hot Comics and Collectibles. Back over Labor Day weekend, they held their own version of Free Comic Book Day where they had saved up all the free comic books that publishers put out throughout the summer and gave them all away on one special day. And then in conjunction with that, they had some sales at each of their 3 different locations. At one particular location, they held a sidewalk sale on back issues and sold all of the back issues in that sale for 25 cents a piece. And they had older things, they had newer things, great books I came home with from that sale. And I will post links to those last 2 videos down below in the description of this video. And at the end of this video, I'll also put links up here somewhere for you to be able to go click on those if you want to see those. But what got even better was that even while I was still filming and sharing out the books that I took home from that first day of sales, that store put out on social media that they were doing the same sale again the following Saturday. 25 cents a back issue, sidewalk sale, and it was all new books to look at. And so given that, I really had no idea what to expect the second time around. I was still feeling pretty good about the books that I found the first go around. So honestly, if I didn't come home with much, I wouldn't have been very disappointed. Like I said, I had a great time the first go around and would never expect to hit that kind of success 2 weeks in a row. I was wrong. In addition to them having new books and me finding new things, I think I found some even better things the second time around. And I came home with nearly double the number of books that I came home with on the first day. So just like that first haul, I'm going to divide this up into 2, probably 3 videos. I want to be sensitive to time, and that'll give you some things to look forward to. I've also divided the books up a little bit so that they're kind of balanced in what you see in each video. So that way, for example, you don't see just keys in one and run fillers in another, or older books in one and newer in another. I tried to mix it up so there's a balance, and I want to give as many people as possible the best chance of seeing something that they look forward to seeing. So that being said, let's go ahead and look at the books. Okay, first up, 2 books from the same title. These are John Byrne's Next Men. Got number 1, just because it's number 1. I don't see this book very often out and about, but I like John Byrne. I wanted to give this a read, and it was a pretty decent story. It did seem like there was a lot. You know how books will sometimes throw you in right in the middle of the action? This did that, but it seemed like it was really in an extreme way, and they had a story so far, kind of a intro on the inside cover, and it seemed like there was a lot of story so far. So I did a little reading and found out there was a 4-part story prior to this issue that appeared in, I think the title is called Dark Horse Comics Presents, and that's where we're first introduced to the Next Men, and then the story, I'm guessing, picks up here with number 1, but I got that number 1, and this title is probably, besides the creator, probably best well known for first appearances of the character Hellboy. They didn't have the valuable first appearance of Hellboy, which I think is like issue 21, but they had his first, I don't know how they parse it out, if it's cameo or teaser, but issue number 14 they had in really nice shape. And I'll show you actually that first appearance. The characters kind of go to well, first I'll show you, they go to this comic shop here, the home of Dollar Comics, which sounds right up my alley. And then here on the next page, here's the panel. So you got these characters talking, and in the background here, there's this red poster on the wall, and you can make out a little bit of the name Hellboy, and there he is with the missing kind of horns. But yeah, the very first panel appearance of Hellboy in comics, so I figured, the heck, why not? You know, that's just a fun little pickup. The next one, similar. This is Adventure Time with Finn and Jake, number 1. Very first appearance of these characters in comics. I don't know anything about these characters. 0 background. I know my son used to like these guys a little bit when he was younger, so it's really not my generation, but I guess it's considered kind of a key, you know. And I don't know, this one's got a little bit of damage to it. You can see here that it's been bent in the top right corner, but other than that, it's in pretty good shape. So I figured, what the heck, grab it for a quarter, and who knows, maybe pass that along to somebody at some point down the road. Next we have, this is Deathmate. Doesn't have a number on it, it's just called Deathmate Black, and it's a square bound. They had some other color covers there as well. I think the real valuable one is the gold, or metallic or gold, something like that. But this contains the first appearance of Gen 13, and again, just a kind of a fun little pickup. And those characters and all the Image titles from the early 90s are definitely seeing some resurgence in popularity as the generation of people who first got into comics in the early 90s, and a lot of them started with Image, so those things are popular again, or more popular. The next two books were A Case of Mistaken Identity. I have been trying to put together the limited series called NYX, which contains the first appearance of Laura Kinney, X-23, and I thought I found 2 more issues in that title today, or at this sale, but I did not. This is NYX No Way Home, and so I thought it was the first limited series. This is obviously some kind of follow-up limited series, also 7 parts, but they had parts 1 and part 2 for 25 cents. But again, when it's a quarter sale, there's not a lot risked in buying them. So if you bought the wrong thing, or you didn't see damage when you bought it and then saw it later, not a big loss because it was only 25 cents. Next up here, we've got Marvel Spotlight on Captain Marvel. I intended to do a little bit more research on this before shooting this video, so I can't totally tell you what this is about. The Marvel titles from this period in the 80s, they get confusing to me. There's so many titles that have some variation of Marvel Tales, Marvel Team Up, Marvel Spotlight, Marvel featuring, all these different titles. And some of them were reprint titles that pulled old stories from the 60s and 70s and reprinted them. Other titles were used kind of as a testing ground for new characters and ideas from Marvel, where they would put it in there, and if it was well received by audiences, then maybe it would spin off and get its own title. I don't think this is that type of book, because it's Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel was already introduced long before this was published, so I'm guessing it's a reprint, but I'm not 100% sure. If you know, let us know down in the comments, both for me and for other viewers, to know kind of the genesis of this title. And one other just fun thing to point out, notice the barcode in the lower corner there. The early way to distinguish between newsstand copies and direct edition copies was that the direct edition copies got this slash through it, which would indicate that it's not returnable, and the newsstand version would have the unmarked barcode. And that was before the direct edition started getting the little corner box art, like with Spider-Man's silhouette or something like that in there. So, fun fact. Then we've got, this is Silver Surfer number 2. I don't recall which volume this is. I mistakenly thought I had number 1 of this volume, but I was wrong. I don't, so I just have kind of this number 2 floating in this volume in my collection now. This is another case where when you're going fast, and generally I'm going fast when it's 25-cent bins, because like it or not, the reality as a collector for me is, you got FOMO raging the whole time, that fear of missing out. So while I'm looking through the box that's right in front of me, there's a part of my mind that's wandering to the other boxes I haven't seen yet and thinking, oh my goodness, what's in those boxes that somebody else could get before I do? And as a result of that, your attention isn't fully focused, and I could have easily pulled out my phone, opened my CLZ app to see what's in my collection, what's on my wish list, whether or not I had number 1, but I didn't, and in my haste I bought a number 2 that, like I said, is disconnected to every other Silver Surfer book in my collection, but that's okay. The next few I got, these are crossover books, and I've never read any of these before, and I will completely attribute these buys to social media. Whether I've seen people on YouTube post that they have these books or like them, or they've posted pictures on Instagram, that's where I've seen them. That's the only reason I picked them up, because I have no knowledge of the stories here. But you've got this kind of Image Marvel kind of crossover that happened in the 90s. This one is called Ballistic Wolverine, and not familiar with her, but Wolverine I am, and I'm a huge X-Men fan. This book is a standalone. Like, Ballistic Wolverine wasn't an ongoing title, but it looks like there was some kind of story because it's part of Devil's Reign, and this is chapter 4. But that was fun to grab. Then we also have a Ultraverse Marvel crossover here with the all new Exiles and X-Men, and that's pretty cool because it's got the gold reflectiveness in the titles there, like that. And then one more, this is Gen 13 and Generation X. I don't recall whether or not these are standalone issues or if they're part of larger stories, but they were just fun to get. This next one here is called Marvel Point 1. It's like a previews type of a magazine. I thought this was a free book when it came out. I never got one at the time, but it actually has a cover price of $5.99. Is that real? Did they really charge $5.99 for that? I don't know. But the only reason I picked it up is because this contains the first appearance of Sam Alexander, the teenager, as Nova. This is another book. If it were more than a quarter, I wouldn't have grabbed it, but that's a fun little key to have, like I said, just for fun, because it's so cheap to get. Next up, we've got Bloodshot #1, and by Valiant Comics. The reason I got this was because, and it looks like they were charging $12 for that originally, but the reason I got it was because this is the first chromium cover on a comic book. So nice reflective background there. This is the book that started the trend that so many of us now love to get, the foil covers, the hologram covers, all those crazy gimmick covers that were exploding all over the place in the 90s. This is where it began, so I thought that would be a fun little pickup to bring home. Then we've got some Ultimate Comics X-Men. This is the second volume of the Ultimate X-Men. I am working on the first 100 issue volume. Not working on this volume, but it's in a poly bag. It's the #1, so grab that. They did have one of the issues from the first volume of Ultimate X-Men that I did need. This is number 48. They had some others, but they were kind of beat up. But that's the only one I needed that they had. Then we've got a Sabretooth book. I had never seen this before, so I grabbed it. When I got home, I looked a little closer. See, it's called Sabretooth Classic. This is actually, I forget how many issues this ran for, but this reprints earlier Sabretooth stories. So I think this one doesn't have his first appearance, but it does have an earlier appearance in Power Man and Iron Fist. So I thought that was a cool cover and a cool pickup. And #1s are just kind of fun to grab. Another example of that, here we got Strange Tales featuring Cloak and Dagger and Doctor Strange, #1. Not looking to get any more of this volume. I just thought it was a cool cover, it's in good shape, and it's a #1. These next few were towards some issues in a volume I'm trying to get. This is Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. Here's issue 100. I wasn't looking for issue 100, though these milestone issues are kind of always fun to get anyway. But one of the features of this sale is that it wasn't simply that you could get each book for $1, it was each pack was $1. So if there were 2 books, 3 books, or more in one bag, they counted that as one. So if there was a really big bag with like 15, 20 comics in it, 25 cents for the whole thing. I didn't come home with any of those, but this is an example where there were 2 books. The one that I was interested in was this one, which is Spectacular Spider-Man 101. That's a cool John Byrne cover with the black and white. So because I wasn't looking for 100, I wasn't going to take it out of the bag because I could get the whole thing for a quarter. So that was a free bonus. Then I got Spectacular Spider-Man 107, another early appearance of the black costume. Another fun little grab. Then there's some books. I love finding books like what I'm about to show you where you're familiar with main titles, even some limited series, but there always seems to be, no matter how many series you've seen and how many titles you've seen, there can, out of nowhere, appear these limited series or titles that you've never heard of before, and then all of a sudden, there they are one time. And what's only disappointing is if they don't have the full limited series, because if it's the first time you've ever seen it, you gotta wonder how long will it be before I see it again. But nevertheless, I brought these home. These are from a 5-part limited series, The New Mutants Forever. You got magic on the cover there, pretty cool looking. This is number 4 of 5. It looks like written by Chris Claremont. And then number 5 of 5. Not a direct homage to that very famous Hulk cover with, you know, Wolverine's claw and the reflection of Hulk in Wolverine's claw, but this theme has definitely been picked up by many artists, where you hold that blade up and then in the metallic reflection you see some other characters that are behind camera. But yeah, so numbers 4 and 5. Still have to look for numbers 1, 2, 3, and then I can read the whole thing. We'll see how long it takes before I find those. Here's a limited series I've been working on as back issues, and finally got the last issue to have the complete set. This is Secret Invasion number 1. When I'm picking it up on back issues, I'll grab whatever cover I can find, basically. So if it was a standard cover, I would have grabbed that. This happened to be the blank sketch cover, which wouldn't be my normal first choice, but that's what they had, and it's the first time I found number 1, so I wasn't going to leave it behind, obviously. So now I have the full Secret Invasion event series, and I can read the whole thing. Here's another limited series I've been working on because I found a few of the issues really inexpensively a while back, and now I'm trying to get the rest of them. And with this, I only need one more to complete it, but this is Origin, part 4 of 6, and yeah, this is Wolverine's origin story in 6 parts. I forget which number I need still, but there's just, it may be number 1. But that's the only one I need of that to complete that limited series. If you watch other videos of mine, you know that I'm working on the Dazzler Volume 1 series, just kind of casually, passively, to complete that. I like covers from that era, kind of think the character is cool, and it's one of those 80s titles where if you're looking to build your collection, you want to get some of these a little bit older books, these Bronze Age books, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, Dazzler is a good series you can go with, because you can generally find her books in pretty good condition and for pretty low price. And I got a few more of these at this particular day of the sale. Here's number 8. Number 9. And then jumping ahead to number 25. So that was a good little find. Here's another limited series I've seen before, but I've never picked up. And again, when the price is right, I'll get it. And I'm only disappointed that they didn't have all 4 of them. I got Beauty and the Beast. This is more Dazzler. So you got Beast and Dazzler, this limited series. They had number 2. And number 3. So I'll still be on the hunt for numbers 1 and 4. And then the last book I'm going to show you for today is from the first volume of What If, and I'd never seen this one before. I'll be honest, I don't see many of the first volume of the What If books in the wild for cheap, or at least in my price range very often. But this is What If number 34. And I don't know what's going on here, but this kind of Watcher type character, he's like, stop, don't buy this issue. If only I could violate my sacred trust and again meddle in human affairs, I would save you from this. The Marvel Universe has gone crazy, and the alternate realities will never be the same again. So, I don't know what's going on in this issue, but it's an older first volume of What If, so I thought, yes, I'm going to grab that. And it got a little bit better because that's the direct edition, and they have a newsstand as well. So, fun 2 additional books for my collection. All right, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up part 1 of this sidewalk sale comic book adventure. And as I'm thinking about it, I think I have to call this Volume 2, Part 1 of the sidewalk sale comic book adventure, because, as I said before, there were parts 1 and 2 from the first day of the sidewalk sale that are already in the bank for you to watch at a later date if you like. So, Volume 2, Part 1 is wrapping up here. I hope you saw something that you liked. If not, we've got a lot more books to come in parts 2 and 3, and there were the 2 previous videos that you could check out as well. Among those 5 videos, I really am confident that most people will find something that they like to see. If you do like content like this, please hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment down below. As promised at the beginning, there should now be a link in one or both of these spots above, linking you back to the first two parts of these videos so you can see more 25-cent comic book adventuring. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.